I've got this Gunstock. Now then, it needs refurbishing. Here, I don't know if we can see that, there's quite an obvious bruise that I'd like to get out of it, and quite a few scratches and dings from having been used for general, well, field use, I think. So what I want to do, number one, is I want to steam out any of these bruises and then set about refinish it. So, step one, let's get to steaming. Okay, so let's see if you can see this. I want to get to, there's a bruise just there. I don't know if you can see that, which I'd like to get out. So I've got my wet towel in, lay it over the stock. And I'm going to keep just using the iron to create the steam in the towel, and hopefully that will make the grain just pop out. Still there. Yeah, it's starting to lessen a little bit. Get some more water on there. Okay, it's on its way. Right, I'm going to continue doing the whole of the stock. I'm also going to put a little bit of sand in on it just to cut through that, it's obviously polyurethane, and let the steam do its work a little better. Okay, you can see now that I've done it a couple more times, a little bit more steam, and you can see there what was a very big dent is now getting considerably smaller. It's beginning to rise. So I'll just continue with that so I can get the thing all the way out. You just have to keep going to make that grain just pop back out. If you've scratched the stock, that's different. That's got to be sanded out. And you've got to be careful with that you don't make a big depression. You've got to try and even it all out. But with a dint, which is what we're dealing with here, very often you can get that out by just steaming the thing and making that grain just pop back up. There we go, still there, but smaller every time. Okay, now this is actually worth seeing, because I've worked on this now for just 2 or 3 minutes. I've got some very fine 400 grit wet and dry, which I'm just using to cut through the surface of what is effectively polyurethane varnish, and you can see that it's worn its way through the varnish there, and the dent after 5 or 6 applications of steam has literally disappeared. Okay, so let's just finish this one off and have a look, see, wipe that off. And there you can see, from where we had quite an obvious deep dent, the steam has made that grain just pop back out, and now I can move on to other parts of the rifle where we've got a few bits and bobs of dints and dings, and steam those out as well. So there you go, that's how you steam dents out of your wooden rifle stock. And we'll carry on with the refinishing. So I've got that bruise out there. What I want to do now is I want to remove a lot of this varnish. Now this varnish that they put on gunstocks these days is rock hard, and I've found that the normal paint strippers that you buy just don't touch it. However, I've got this stuff from eBay, and this does actually work. So I'm going to give it a good old dose of paint stripper, because I want to be able to see all the small indentations that I want to steam out. Plus I want to be able to refinish it properly when it's all done. So paint stripper. I'm going to paint this on nice and thick. And given a little bit of time, that will bubble up. And get the majority of this varnish off, so that I can start again. I'll be finishing this with True Oil when it's all done and ready. Turn it over, do the other side, and like I say, I might do this one, wait for it to bubble up, wash it off, do it again, etc, etc. Just keep doing it, repeating until I've got the vast majority of the varnish off. Makes life a lot easier than perpetual sanding. After 2 coats of stripper, I don't know how well you can see this, but nearly all the varnish has gone. That's where I was using wet and dry papers, and it's gone through the stain, but that's okay because I've got to wet and dry the whole thing, so, and then restain it, and then I'll include stain in the True Oil when I do it. The varnish from the checkering has very nearly all disappeared. The only varnish that's left, I don't know if you can see it, is there's little tiny bits of shine just along this top edge here, the occasional little bit of shine there. So one more coat of paint stripper and I'll be back down to pretty much bare wood. So that's a massive saving in work, and it's particularly good for the checkering because I don't want to have to be messing with it. All that's got in it at the minute is the little bits of stuff that's left from the process of the paint stripper. So good progress so far. I'm at the stage now where, now that I've got all the varnish off, or the vast majority of the varnish off, there's those little marks along the bottom here that are a bit easier to see, for me anyway, when just looking at it with the naked eye. So I can steam those off now. Like I say, there's one more coat of paint stripper required just to get rid of the last tiny bits of residual varnish, and these few bits and bobs of marks just to steam out, little dents just to steam out, and then I can start with the process of wet and dry paper. And like I say, I think what I'll do is when I'm True Oiling it, I'll include a little bit of stain in the True Oil. We'll see how it goes. We'll decide that once the wet and dry process is finished. But so far so good. Already, especially there where it had got quite a big ding in it, so much better. It's nice and flat now, you can't see where that dent was at all after it's been steamed out. So, happy so far. I'm just finishing off the bottom end of the stock before, and there were a few dings and bumps on it here from where it had been lent on fences or whatever else when it had been used, and I've got to say that they have all popped out very nicely. I can't feel absolutely anything in there. So there you can see, let me just give it a wipe, just a wet so you can see it. The paint stripper has pretty much done its job. I'm going to put a little bit more on, just one or two places where there's a little bit left. Then I've got to give it a good sand prior to restaining and refinishing. But that is the process for steaming out dents, and my process for using paint stripper. There you can see a couple of little bits of varnish, a little bit of varnish on there. So I'm just going to give it one more dose of paint stripper to get rid of those bits. The thing I like about this method is the checkering. If your paint stripper is strong enough, it just pulls everything out of the checkering. You don't have to worry about it, you just have to kind of avoid it really when you're refinishing the stock. So that's dent-free stock that I can now start on the sanding, etc. for the refinish.